Hello chess lovers, Suren here to share with you another sparkling attacking game played by the 8th world chess champion Mikhail Tal. In this game Tal's opponent is Serbian chess grandmaster Svetozar Gligoric. The game was played in 1963 in Moscow at Alyokhin Memorial. Tal, who had white pieces, opened up with e4, to which Gligoric responded with Sicilian defense c5. This came as a pleasant surprise for Tal. Usually Gligoric chooses more solid e5 move, after which, unlike the Sicilian defense, it's not so easy to complicate the position. Knight f3, d6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight f6, knight c3 and a6. We have the Najdorf variation, against which Tal is choosing the main move bishop g5, e6, f4. This is an aggressive pawn push by white, which has led to many sacrificial brilliances both by white and black. Bishop e7, queen f3, queen c7, white castled queenside, knight bd7. Up to this point, usually Gligoric had preferred to have white pieces. g4, b5, bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, g5, knight d7, knight a3. In here, f5 is considered to be the main move, but Tal made a3 and actually it took him about 40 minutes to make this move. The fact is that Tal very much wanted to play a move like knight f5, but only succeeded in convincing himself that there was a reason why this sacrifice had not been played before. It will be only Lithuanian chess grandmaster Šarūnas Sulskis who would make this move for the first time in 2005 in a game against Yannick Pelletier. That's actually a very sharp game which ended with a fighting draw. But in our game, after knight d7 we have a3, to which black answered with bishop b7. Rook b8 is considered to be the best move, but in the game we have bishop b7, with which black is preparing castling queenside, and after bishop h3 castling queenside followed, but this is a dubious move. Instead, it's better to play knight c5, a move which later in 2001 Alexei Shirov would make in a game against Peter Leko. But in the game we have castling queenside, which steps into this beautiful bishop takes e6 move. Well, in here f5 is also a strong move, and this is a move which Gligoric himself made in a game against Bobby Fischer at 1959 Candidates Tournament. He sacrificed the pawn on g5 and then after e5 went for a knight sacrifice on b5, and in a very spectacular fashion he managed to beat the young Bobby Fischer. Of course, Mikhail Tal knew about this game, but he decided that bishop takes e6 is better and went for bishop sacrifice. F takes e6, knight takes e6, queen c4. Now it may seem that the idea of this combination was to win the exchange, but it turns out that the knight on e6 is stronger than the rook, and Tal played knight d5. Bishop takes d5, e takes d5, and now white has a very dangerous b3 threat trapping black queen. For example, if you move your rook, then b3 can follow. If knight e5, then queen e3. If knight g4, then queen a7. You should either give up your queen or get checkmated, or after e takes d5, if knight c5, then anyways b3 can follow. If here, then king b1, and if knight a5, then this time rook d4 can follow. In our game, after e takes d5, black played king b7, freeing the c8 square for the queen, but king b8 is better in order later not to allow white rook to penetrate the 7th rank with a tempo. b3, queen c8, rook d3, knight b6. Well, this is already a terrible mistake and is losing. In here it's better to play queen b8 in order to meet rook c3 with rook c8, but in our game we have knight b6, which allows white rook to penetrate the 7th rank without meeting any obstacles. Queen d7, well, if queen b8, if you try not to give up your queen, then rook c7 is coming, and if king a8, then of course you can also win this bishop, but queen c3 is stronger. In our game after rook c3 we have queen d7, and to rook c7 check we have queen takes c7, knight takes c7, king takes c7, queen c3 check, king b8, and queen takes g7. If we have a look at the position against the queen and 3 pawns, black has a rook and 2 minor pieces. White has a winning position, of course. This passed pawn is very dangerous. There is a disharmony among black pieces. Black's queen side is vulnerable, and now let's see how Mikhail Tal realized his advantage. Knight c8, rook e1, rook g8, queen d4, bishop d8, rook e6, rook f8. Well, if I move like h6, then in this line white has a very beautiful winning move. If rook f8 in order to meet h7 with bishop f6, then white can simply munch it and the new queen is appearing on the board. In our game after rook e6 we have rook f8 and h4, h6, g6, rook g8, h5, rook f5, queen e4, rook takes h5. Black is winning a pawn, but is doing it at the cost of allowing white queen to intrude inside the 8th rank. Bishop f6, c4. At this point white has to be very careful, because if we move like queen f7, then black has bishop c3 move. That's why we have c4. White is opening up a space for his king. b takes c4, b takes c4, rook h3, king d2, bishop c3 check, king c2, bishop d4, there it goes, f5, rook takes a3. Of course, winning the c-pawn is not a good idea. Black can lose a piece. That's why after f5 we have rook takes a3, but this is also a desperate attempt. c5. This time Tal wants to make use of his d-pawn. d takes c5. Well, if bishop takes c5, then as your bishop is leaving the long diagonal, g7 can follow. That's why d takes c5 was played, and d6, rook a2 check, king d3, rook a3 check, king c4, and finally Gligoric resigned. Right now the threat is d7, and if you unpin the knight by playing king b7, then queen d7 check can follow, and then queen c7 check. Yes, it's over. That's why finally after king c4 we have a resignation. A very, very impressive attacking game by Mikhail Tal, and it's actually very surprising that despite the fact that Gligoric had that position in a game against Bobby Fischer, he had underestimated the power of bishop takes e6 sacrifice, and very quickly he found himself in trouble. Looks like that during the preparations he had totally overlooked this move, which actually is very strange. In the end, a chess puzzle for you, where the task is to find the winning line for white. It's white to move, and I will wait for your answer in the comment section. Thanks for watching. In the end, feel free to check out these suggestions as well, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.